In our next episode of Hollywood at Ovation with Jorge Amir, we speak to filmmaker director Craig Ouellette on his latest feature, Straight On Till Morning. We're going to talk about the release of this film, the making of it, and some juicy details that you will not want to miss in our next Hollywood at Ovation with Jorge Amir. Hello everyone, and welcome to Hollywood at Ovation with Jorge Amir. Today we've got a special show for you. We've got the director of one of my favorite films and one of the best horror films that you will get to see this year. This gentleman here, his name is Craig Ouellette.
Yeah.
And he is a director and creator of this beautiful film, brutal, beautiful film, Straight On Till Morning. Welcome, Craig.
Cool, thanks, Jorge. It's good to be here. It's good to be hanging out in the California sunshine.
So, Craig, tell us a little bit. Let's. You know what? Before you tell us a little bit about this film, let's show the folks a clip trailer of this film.
Walk out that door and go to Los Angeles with you?
3 cheers for Swan Navy. Straight on till morning.
You have no idea what I've done, because I love my family.
That is 2 strikes, young lady. Make me proud. There is nothing in this world stronger than love. I never should have gone with you!
So, Craig, tell us a little bit about your film. Tell us about what this movie is all about in a nutshell, without giving away any spoilers, of course.
This is a no spoiler podcast right here. This Straight On Till Morning is a romantic horror movie. It's about the beautiful and terrible things that people do in the name of love. These 2 fabulous characters go on a romantic road trip and run afoul of some rather unpleasant people, as you do in a horror movie. We like to call it Thelma and Louise meets the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with a splash of misery. So if that piques your interest and you like suspenseful horror movies that are all about putting you out on the edge of your seat, then this is for you. If you like boring horror movies that don't do that,
then don't go see it. This is not for you.
If you want to be on the edge of your seat, here you go.
So, full disclosure here, this film had its world premiere at Dance of the Films. Is that correct?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
An amazing festival, which I happened to moderate and program for. Shameless self-promotion,
plug.
Yes. But I want to tell you guys that what makes this film very special to me, the night that I saw this film, because I saw it also with the audience at the world premiere of this film at Dance of the Films, I noticed this film is a communal experience. And what I say a communal experience is there's some films that you can watch at home and enjoy at home and like it, dislike it, be scared, or what have you. This is a film that while the audience was watching it, it really garners some very extreme reactions from the audience. And this is something that you do not see too often in a film. For example, I'm not sure if you've seen those videos of The Exorcist when The Exorcist first came out, and there were people fainting and crying and talking about how disturbing the film was. This is the same kind of reaction you're going to get out of this movie because it is that powerful, that disturbing, that brutal. And I'm not trying to like oversell your film, but I was there, so I'm a witness to what I saw. And this was all before I started to moderate, which we have it was a very interesting Q&A, would you say?
It was for sure, yeah. The Q&A is going to be on, one of the extra features on the Blu-ray DVD. So if you're a collector and you want some behind-the-scenes stuff, there will be a DVD and Blu-ray of this.
However, this film is coming out in theaters, and it's coming out in theaters next week. Next week is the first week of March, and it's coming out in New York, in Los Angeles, and in Dallas, correct?
Yep.
In New York, it's going to be playing at the Village East. So whatever you do, right after this podcast, make sure to look it up.
Yeah, look it up. You can get tickets. LoveIsScary.com has links to all the different ticket sites.
And here in Los Angeles at the Lemley NoHo, and in Dallas, where's it playing at?
Dallas is the Cinemark West Plano XD and something else, but Cinemark West Plano on the tollway in Dallas if you're from that area.
Now that's very
I
interesting
guess Plano,
because
technically.
I kind of was, I lived in Plano, and I went to Plano. I graduated from Plano East Senior High
Did you
School.
really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
How crazy is that? Now,
Yeah.
what would make you want to book it in Plano?
I know, right? Well, enough said, right? No, I grew up in North Dallas, Richardson. I went to J.J. Pierce High School, and
So we probably played you guys in basketball.
and
all the
I will say
time.
this: the only team we beat in football my entire time I was in high school, I didn't play, but that we beat in football was Plano East, our last game senior year.
That is
So
funny.
take that. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah. And,
What
so-
year was that? Do you remember?
A while ago. Yeah, and we also have some of the actors are from Plano. One of the actors is from Dallas as well, and we have another actor from Austin, and then one of the other producers is also from Plano. So we have.
So this is
little
a
bit-
Texas,
There's some
a
Texas.
very heavy
contingents, yeah.
Texas cast. And so tell us a little bit, but first of all, tell us a little bit about the root of the idea for this movie. Where did this come from, and how did it come to you?
Yeah, well, the Straight On to Morning started as a script that the co-writer Neil McLaughlin had written, where he wanted to combine True Romance into Hostel, and say what happens if we split those two movies and do True Romance for 45 minutes and then Hostel for the second 45 minutes. Over the course of time, it switched to what I said before, where it's a little more Thelma and Louise meets Texas Chainsaw with some misery. Because for those of you who are like, I don't like torture porn movies, like it's not one of those type of movies. If that's not your thing. Now, if it is your thing, you can still enjoy this film. But yeah, that's where it started as, and then over the course of time, it morphed into a queer film and became the lesbian love story it is now. And we're really happy with how it turned out and how it connects thematically with what the villains are doing in the movie, and all that stuff really ties together because of that.
Now, here's something. There's actually a lot more to this film than just that, because this is a couple that they go on a road trip. I mean, that's in the trailer. I'm not giving anything
Sorry.
away. But they like pass through one of these podunk little towns, and we get to see how they're treated, just strangely. Was that just based on like loosely on actual events? Like how did that come to fruition?
There's unfortunately probably actually events that are maybe similar to this. It's not specifically based on any one story there, but there's definitely some of these conflicts exist in the world that we live in, and I wish they didn't. I wish that people were more understanding and more open, but they do. But fear not, for those of you who are worried. It's not a preachy film, even though it does have a point of view.
So was this shoot in Texas, even though it does have a Texas cast?
No, it wasn't at all. We actually shot most of it in the St. Louis area, outside of St. Louis, in a little town called Burns Mill, where my relatives live.
Okay.
And we also shot some of it in the Lone Pine area of California, Alabama Hills, and then various random spots across the country that I shot footage as I was driving around on road trips over the years.
That was my next question: is how did you choose your locations? Because this movie is cinematically really beautiful to look at, and you have a Texas cast, but yet you shot in all of these different places, and their locations all merge well quite nicely. So is that like an imaginary small town, or is that's your hometown, right? Where we actually where we were shot.
I mean, it's a little bit like outside of of St. Louis, so it's a town that I definitely visited a lot.
That you're well connected with. I assume?
Yeah. I have relatives there. My aunts and uncles and cousins and stuff all live there. And a lot of them helped out on the movie in different ways. And and then the movie takes place as a road trip from Maine to Colorado, and though the movie takes place in Colorado, nothing was actually shot in Colorado, other than a couple of perhaps road trip shots in the montage, but otherwise it's ironically not shot there at all. Why it took place in Colorado is because I grew up in Colorado before I grew up in Texas, so I just love Colorado and love the mountains and stuff. Although this movie doesn't necessarily paint the best picture. I love Colorado. Fear not, Colorado. All my Coloradans that I am friends with.
So I want to talk a little bit about the festival run of this film, because this film has had an impressive festival run. It's been to some of the biggest horror film festivals in the industry worldwide, and it's won a ton of awards. Talk to us a little bit about that. And it all started with Dances with Films. So tell us what your experience was like with Dances with Films. And then also, I saw it there, and I programmed it at another festival. Do you remember the name of that festival?
Yeah, that was great too. That was at the Chinese Theater as well as Silicon Beach Film Festival, so that was a lot of fun.
That's where your film won the Grand Jury Prize.
Grand Prize, yeah.
The biggest prize of that entire festival out of hundreds of movies.
That's a lot of movies.
Because that's a festival that literally has hundreds of movies. And then it went on from there. Tell us a little bit about your festival experience and what it was like for you to see the audience's reactions just in different parts of the world. Where has it been? I know it's been to a lot of fantastic festivals, which is a federation of horror film festivals worldwide. Tell us a little bit about that and your experience with this movie.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Fantastic again. It was a really fun journey to be able to travel around and watch this movie with audiences. I mean, there were you have like different reactions in different places, although there's certain parts of the movie that always get a reaction, which is great. But like had a blast. Like Bonnie Jean Tyler, who's right there, lead actress and one of the producers. She had a fantastic experience at the Portland Horror Film Festival, where literally people were just cheering and just outrageous. Seeing it here at the Dances with Films was like that. Film Quest was also very lively. We played at Fantaspoa in Brazil.
That's a pretty big festival.
Yeah, that was.
Well, what was the reaction there? And it's interesting because, can you tell me a little bit about how do different cultures react to this film?
It seems, and I'll say it seems like there's a sort of a universal reaction to it, because the movie is a movie that I hope works where you care about the main characters and care about the plight that they are in, and therefore it's suspenseful and exciting because of that. And it definitely has, the reactions I get from a lot of people afterwards are about that very thing, about how they're like, wow, I actually cared about these two women. I actually cared what happened to them, as opposed to, there's horror movies where perhaps the villain is the hero, and you want to watch the villain kill all those terrible people that you wish that you could kill. Just kidding. We're horror film makers. It's all about horror film. But it was really fun to watch it, and there's been a lot of very positive reactions. Like at Fantaspoa in Brazil, Rob, one of the producers, was down there, and he said he had numerous lesbian couples come up to him afterwards and thank him for being a part of this movie, because in Brazil they don't feel like they have a voice like this. They don't have something that puts.
They don't feel represented.
Yeah,
on
they don't
film.
see themselves represented on film. So that made me feel good too.
Is Rob from Brazil?
No, Rob's from Chicago. But
because isn't he like in Brazil right now?
He is actually in Brazil right now, Brazil and Argentina right now, and going to be returning to the Fantaspoa Film Festival because he worked on he met some people when he was down there and acted in a movie, and that short film is playing at Fantaspoa this year. Wow. So that's happening. And then we also played at the Sydney Film Festival, which is donk big. I mean, they still. Did
you go to all of these places?
I went to as many as I could afford to as an independent filmmaker. But in Sydney Film Festival, they sell 140,000 tickets to that over the course of 11 days.
Wow!
And sometimes have 9 movies showing simultaneously. And I was fortunate enough to be one of the 5 horror movies that was showing there.
Wow!
Like the movie Together was there. That was one of the horror movies with Dave Franco.
Great movie.
Fantastic movie, and the director's super cool. And
that's why I'm saying this film has lined up with some of the biggest festivals and the biggest horror films in the business, and rightfully so, because this is one of those films that are up there with some of the best, to be honest. just because of the audience reaction. And that's why I think that hopefully, kind of like Paranormal Activity actually started playing at midnight screenings, and that's how Paramount had tested it. I remember clearly because I was there when it was discovered by when Oren Peli and when Screenfest discovered Oren Peli at the premiere of Paranormal, and that was the plan. Is they literally had like these one-offs midnight screenings, and it scared the shit out of people. And everything else became history from that. We all know what happened to that film. Your film, I think once, and the thing with these movies like this, and why I really feel so strongly about it, and having you here today, which is a pleasure, is that these films, once they grow their legs and they start moving, there is no stopping to it. Once people figure out, hey, this movie exists and you need to watch it, and you've told other people about it, and the word gets around to what is happening in this movie, you will not believe it. That's why you need to watch it. And when I saw it and I saw people's reactions to it, people were standing and cheering and hollering at the screen, which does not happen too often. It happens at Dance of the Films. It was a hoot. It was a hoot. And everybody stayed for the Q&A because they wanted to find out what kind of fucked up movie is this. And I'm like, okay, let's give it to them for the Q&A. And as a matter of fact, Craig was gracious enough to include me in the TikTok promo for it. Is that what it is?
Bonnie has been putting together a lot of our social media stuff leading up here to the release. And
Great social media.
You've got some FaceTime in there.
Yeah. No, you guys got it going on there. And
we got Jorge in there. That's you got to watch.
That's what I have to bring for my podcast, because I wanted to talk to him a little bit more so you guys understand where this is all coming from and how this film actually got its start. Because once it gets out there, which is about to, because it's coming out on DVD and Blu-ray and streaming platforms when?
Well, the streaming platforms are going to be March 10th for transactional, so you can rent and buy it. DVD will be later, and Blu-ray will be later in the month. And then it is in theaters, like we said, next week, first week of March in New York, LA, and Dallas. Limited theatricals, so if you can get your tickets and take the ride, we'd love to see you. I'll be there for Q&As at all of them too, so you can say hi if you want to come down and say hi.
And do you know what I love?
Don't just say, what were you thinking?
Do you know what I love about this movie is that it's coming out on DVD and Blu-ray, because there are a lot of very limited distribution now happening on DVD and Blu-ray, and I'm happy. You remember that first time that we met after the Q&A? I said this movie needs to come out on DVD and on Blu-ray, because it's one of those items that you want to collect to then watch over and over, and almost, for a cinephile, is a study piece. Is a study piece in horror, and they're just the way, this is like classic modern day horror, because it has so many tense moments, and they work well with what's happening throughout the film, and it keeps you like on high tension, if that's even a thing.
It is. That's a thing. It's also
people
good.
were literally screaming at the throughout the entire movie at the characters' choices.
Not like a rock concert.
It could have been. It could have been.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have original music in there, so there's some original songs and things like that. So
and talk to us about putting this movie together. How long did it take to shoot? Tell us, what kind of challenges, if you have that you're willing and share with us, that you might have had when you were making this movie?
So this is chapter 1 of a 7,000 part series on the making of Straight On to Morning, if you want all the stories. It was a challenge to put this together over the course of time.
Because it looks like a studio movie. That's why I asked.
Thank you.
Yeah, got so many different locations and the cinematography.
Cinematography is fantastic. We had working with a lot of really talented people that worked really hard on this, and taking a long time to find the location, and kind of looking at what we didn't have the money to create, so we had to find it in terms of that, and designing around like the Danny's car. This is Danny, played by Kelsey Christian. Her car is a red Jeep Cherokee, and that's my cousin's red Jeep Cherokee. So there's a lot of that kind of like.
So you pulled your resources?
Oh, for sure. And yeah, it was shot over years. I mean, we shot 5 days in the fall of 2018 to get here. It is 2026, folks.
So this took several years.
I always say the whole thing was a 17-year journey from the moment I met Neil to right now, almost to the day that the movie's coming out.
Wait a minute,
It's
so
17-year journey.
it took 17 years to make this film?
We'll make it and get it out there.
From
You know, there's-
gestation to completion.
And there were different starts and stops along the way with producers with the options and things like that, where we tried different routes and stuff like that. And then eventually in 2017, I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this, myself and with whatever resources I can pull together. Which of course is not just me. It's the whole point is bringing together a team
community.
and everything. But like just choosing to lead the charge rather than
Because like humans, it takes a village to raise a people, and it takes a village to make a movie, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot of it's a lot of work. All you fellow independent filmmakers,
They call us independents, but we're not really independent. We're quite dependent on everybody else to help us make it happen.
Yeah, for sure. So we shot then, and we shot in 2022. We shot 22 days, and we shot pickup shoots throughout 2023. And by that point, because I own my own cameras and lights and stuff for a lot of stuff, it's like I was able to be like, I need this shot. It's like we try and re-editing it and be like, I need this one shot of like this doorknob or something. And so I was able to get that shot and kind of piece it together. And I think that helps.
So as you were directing, you were editing in your head.
Oh, always a little bit of that too, yeah. And I edited the whole movie too, and co-wrote it, and produced it, and a million other things I'm not going to say that I did, but a lot of other jobs on the movie too.
So let me ask you, 17 years, as you guys first met and had this story idea, did the story evolve throughout those 17 years as you were trying to get it made?
Oh, for sure, yeah. It changed, one from a straight story into a queer story, which is, the biggest evolution in a lot of ways.
Oh, it was a straight story before,
Yeah, it was a
like
straight
male,
story.
female?
Yeah, for the first, probably 3 years of its existence.
And how did that switch to like, let's make it about two female?
It actually happened because Neil and I were having one of our hypothetical arguments. Neil, the co-writer, and I were having a hypothetical argument about casting, and he said he was basically like, if Natalie Portman wants to, as if we had Natalie Portman. He said if Natalie Portman wants to play the lead of this movie, Natalie Portman gets to play the lead of the movie. I'm like, no. We got to let our friend Laurel, who's the person who introduced us, who I worked with on a bunch of movies before, like she's the female lead, and then we'll change the other, the male lead into another female. Natalie Portman can play that character, and we'll make it a lesbian film. And we looked at each other and thought, that is the best idea we have ever had with this movie because of what happens in the movie and because of what the antagonists are doing and all that. It really adds a lot of stuff. So
It
that's
sure
where that
does.
came from.
It sure does.
And then, there's lots of structure stuff from originally it was 45 minutes of romance and then 45 minutes of horror, and over the course of time, that where that pivot point happens, switched and things like that. So, it's definitely rewrite for locations, rewrite for money, rewrite for.
Were you writing even while you were shooting?
I mean, not. Well, actually, yeah. We had to. There's a scene that was originally took place in a convenience store that got switched to a diner because amazingly that was the one location we couldn't find in St. Louis. And then my aunt went down to this diner, Murphy's Diner, at the end of the street where she lives, and asked them, and they said sure. And they were so nice and so wonderful, and the place is so cool. It looks so cool on film. So, and we found that like a day or two before. I think 2 days before we needed to shoot the scene, which was near the end of the shoot. And then I had to rewrite it to take place in a diner. And then of course we had to find a bunch of extras so then I have all these relatives and friends and people who helped them, the people who own the house, and all these people came in to be extras because we're like, one of the scenes takes place during the day, and I'm like, well, you can't have a diner that's empty. Like it doesn't. Then it's like, oh, hey, movie that costs $3 to make, because extras and that kind of stuff helps make it feel like a bigger movie.
So another question: there's a lot of religious undertones to this movie as well, from what happens to this couple in the movie. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Part of the
where did that come from?
Subtext.
Are you guys religious?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Texas and grew up in stuff.
Texas is very conservative. And
yeah, it's definitely
religious,
conservative. But I mean, there's one of the things I didn't want to do with this movie is It's not a movie that demonizes Christianity and Christians. It demonizes a certain kind of Christian.
What kind are we talking about?
Well,
here?
I mean, it's a
Without giving away
Without
spoilers.
giving away spoilers. I mean, because that wasn't the goal. The goal is that, I mean, I grew up in Texas. I have a million friends and families, members who go to church regularly. who are positive, good people, who are not full of hate, who are not bigots.
But that is not what we're looking at in here.
And that's even the lead character, she's wearing a cross and has a personal relationship with that item, and her bandmates have a cross on the wall and things like that. And again, it's subtle. This isn't a movie it's not trying to be preachy, but I do have a point of view about it, and I don't want. It was important to me not to just demonize Christianity, which a lot of movies like this might do, and I don't think that's
kind of like The Exorcist.
Well, I mean that's literally demonizing.
Literally, I mean,
it's literally demonizing.
but there's a certain politics with horror films, and a lot of people don't understand that there is politics in a horror film. As a matter of fact, that's what The Exorcist was, a political film about the Catholic faith.
Yeah. I mean, almost every good horror movie is actually a politics movie in some form or fashion.
So there's something to be said about that.
Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of an extra layer. It's not what the movie is about, but it is an extra layer that, hopefully is, if you enjoyed the movie and enjoyed the emotional experience of the movie, you can dive into a little bit more of like, what's the point of view, what's trying to be said from these characters and stuff, and whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, hopefully it's a point of view of having a conversation about like what are the okay things to do in the name of love, and what are the things that are not okay to do in the name of love, because ultimately we're all driven by the same things. It's like we want to survive, we want to love, we want to have the right to have a life that means something to us, and so it's like hopefully this adds to a discussion about what that is, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, as long as their opinion is not killing other people.
So this is a good opportunity. Let's talk about you're going to be in person in these cities. Talk to us about the specific days and show times where you are going to be in New York, in Los Angeles, and in Dallas.
Yeah, as is the case with many independent film, things are in flux at different times. But I'll be myself, Bonnie, and Bill Hingstenberg, who's one of the other actors, will be present in New York on Monday, March 2nd. At both screenings at the Cinema Village. You can get the details at loveisscary.com, the website. And also at the LA screenings, which probably is, I'm saying probably because things are strange in the independent movie world. We're trying to lock down those dates. I'll just say that at this point. So if you want to check out, follow the website or follow the socials.
But sometime in March, right?
It'll be early March. It'll be before it comes out.
Okay.
And then March 6th, Friday, March 6th, in Plano and Dallas is one. I'll be there. So will Bonnie and Bill, and Michael Gamer, who's another actor, will also be there. So come down, hang out, ask those questions. I saw, before I got to this interview, I saw our DCP up on the screen in Plano looking good, so on pictures, so it will work. No, I'm just kidding. It's an independent film, folks. It's going to look great. It sounds great in the theater. It's 5-1 DCP. It's fun stuff.
Now, a little bit a question about the business of film. What do you think is because this is very interesting for those who are filmmakers. What do you think? How do you feel about what's happening with independence now, and just with all of these changes in technology and streaming, and I just feel like everything is just being so rushed. For example, I mean, your film is having a limited theatrical, but it's a limited theatrical, but it's going straight onto streaming and DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that. Whereas before, a film like this, honestly, would have probably lasted weeks, if not months, in theaters. And now everything has almost converged so quickly. Can you talk to us about that?
I mean, it's a strange business. I will say that when it comes to the business side of the independent movie business, without getting too bleak, it's definitely a challenge. I mean, most of the distributors we talked to just wanted to put it straight up onto the platforms and kind of be done with it.
I'm so glad you went against that.
So we looked a long time to find Disrupt Entertainment and find somebody who was willing to do a limited theatrical and do the DVD and Blu-ray and do all those things, because for me it's like it's so easy to disappear in the streaming landscape and just sort of, I mean, literally
it's
hundreds
saturated.
of movies come out of
the market is oversaturated.
Exactly. So it's like how do you stand out, and that's part of the goal of doing the theatrical and the DVD and Blu-rays to hopefully when you're scrolling through to say, oh hey, this is a movie I've heard of, or wait, this movie played in theaters, maybe that is worth my $4 or my $8 or whatever, you know, the price point is for whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, and frankly, worth your hour and 44 minutes, because that's the main goal. Like, I don't want to make a movie that is going to make you feel like you wasted your hour and 44 minutes. And of course, I don't know your taste, so. But
I can promise you will not feel that way.
But yeah, it's like it's definitely a challenge, because the way the whole system is set up is you make the creators are not the people who are making the money. So like when you see an independent movie made $1 million in the box office, which by the way, kudos to that movie that did that, the creators are getting a tiny fraction of that, and that doesn't seem right to me. I mean, I feel like it should, like if I were to make a new business model, and I'm sure everybody in the business side of the movie,
Artists first, right?
Well, I would say it's like when it comes to the producing side, it's like you need the creativity and you need the money, right? So that should be a 50-50 split.
I agree.
Like, it shouldn't be that the money is 90% of it and 10% is the creativity, because the money people have literally nothing
Without the creativity.
And the creative people can make the movie without the money people if they had to. So it's like, let's make it a 50-50 split, and then you take that to the distribution side of it, and I would say, you know, you have the platforms that distribute it, and then you have, or the theaters, and then you have your distributor or sales agent that brings it. Like if we're doing that, that's maybe 50%, but 25% to the platform, 25% to the distributor, 25% to the money people, 25% to the creative people. And even that, I would, being a creative person, I would prefer it to be more like 33, 33, and 33, and you know, but you know, it's like they have to fill their space, they have to pay for their marketing. Like, you know, everybody has a business to run, and everybody wants every little bit for themselves.
As
so
much as they can get.
Why can't we do a thing that's like, you know, it is like a, you know, 50% for the movie, 50% for the distribution, and then within each of those it's split in half, and then I think everybody would be like, cool. And not like, hey, the distributor gets their percentage and all their expenses back first. It's like, no, we split from the get-go, which is, you know, there are very few distributors that do that, I will tell you that. But my independent filmmaking friends pay on first dollar. That is the word that you want from your distributor. If they will not pay you on first dollar and they have to get all of their expenses back first,
run for exit.
That's all I'll say. It doesn't mean that they're dishonest. It doesn't mean that you won't get paid, but just be wary, because
Just means you should not be with them.
yeah, he said it. I didn't.
Yeah.
But you know, so just you know, take your time and make sure you find those partners, because there are people in the distribution world that want to change the model and change it and make it more positive and beneficial for everybody. They have an uphill battle, because, you know, establishments like to work how establishments work, and the people who run those establishments, they make money, and so they're okay. And there's going to be a new filmmaker who comes out the next year with their dream and their film and their thing that worked their, you know, asses off to get there, and then they're going to be like, great, cool, we'll make some money off of you, and we don't actually care if we destroy you, because there's somebody else who's going to fill your shoes. And so we as filmmakers need to make sure that we protect ourselves and don't sign those deals. Like, get a deal where you get paid on first dollar. And it's like, you know, they still have expenses, and that makes sense. Those expenses need to be paid, but you make sure that you know what those expenses are, and you can see what those expenses are, and you make sure that they report those expenses. If somebody says, we can't quantify how much each movie costs to market, run away.
I believe they call that creative accounting.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that. So, you know, it's like I'm learning a lot as I go through this, hopefully in a way that can be helpful to my fellow filmmakers, because if we all stick together and don't sign those deals and don't feel desperate for
Then they
those
will have
deals.
to change things.
Because you literally can just put the movie out yourself. I mean, you got to do all the marketing, but the truth is, with most distribution, you have to do most of the marketing yourself too.
Yeah, even though you still, as you said, you still have to know the know-how to do that. And movie marketing is not easy.
Not easy at all. So it's like, you know, in some ways you might be better off to spend that money on a marketing person who is good at it, and then, you know, keep a higher percentage of the release because you used an aggregator to put it on platforms. And I know that this is a huge debate that is rabbit hole of rabbit hole of rabbit holes. But it is something to just be aware of, that like there are other ways to do it, and it's like we all want to be the person who wins the lottery in this with our movie, and it's like, yes, we're the one that made $172 million like Paranormal Activity. Guess what? There's two of those. in the history of cinema. There's Paranormal Activity and there's the Blair Witch Project. There's 2 of them. So
Billion-dollar industries themselves.
It's
now.
not going to be. That's not a business plan to think that it's you. We all hope for it, and I hope that it happens for.
But the good thing is that you, with your film, you guys are in the running because a lot of these films also, they make, if they hit big on streaming, that's a little lottery right there.
Mm-hmm.
You're winning,
Yeah, for sure.
And to kind of second on what you were saying, Craig, we actually have a podcast coming up where I'm interviewing Michael Madison from Indie Rights, and we're going into the details of financing, sales, and distribution, and what you should do as a filmmaker in preparation to making your movie, or even after you've shot it, what you need to do to prepare for the next phase of getting your film out there to the masses. So we're going to be talking about that in podcasts, a few of my podcasts that are coming up in the future, as well as one that we're doing with Paranormal Activity podcast that is celebrating pretty much the 25th anniversary of Screamfest, where I get to interview Rachel, who started the festival, and she's the one who personally discovered Paranormal Activity. So you would not want to miss that podcast. So closing words for you, Craig, and this was actually quite entertaining, and I think it was hopefully it's educational for you guys, because it's always good to see how things got made in the trenches and how you come to this point where your film is about to go out into the world.
Which is slightly nerve-wracking. I'm not going to lie. It's like this is like we said, 17 years of work and blood, sweat, and a lot of tears to get to this movie coming out, and it's
like your baby now is about to go out into the world and fend for itself.
I'm honestly like, get out of the house. Get out of the house. I want people to see her. I want people to watch it and experience it. And if you love it, rate it on IMDb, Letterboxd, Rotten Tomatoes, like you love it. If you hate it, don't. Just be nice. Because all that stuff matters. Or do.
But if you do support it,
honestly. Say what you want to say.
But if you do support it, say what you want to say, go to IMDb, write reviews about it. It's very important for independent films.
Yeah.
For you to get the word out there. How can you help this film if you liked it? Write reviews about it. If you have a podcast, talk about it, review it. Tell your friends about it, your families, drag it. Disturbing films like that usually get a lot of attention, but nonetheless, the market is oversaturated, and filmmakers, artists, films in general need your help, because cinema is right now at this juncture where everything is, there's all this kind of mergers of different companies and stuff that is happening, and the market and the industry is changing so fast. And the only way for us to survive this is with your support. So go out and support films like this. Tell your friends about it. Write about it on IMDb of the page of the movie, and review it.
Yeah, and one thing, it's like if you're down to rent it and or purchase it when it comes out on streaming starting March 10th, we're going to be on all the major sites, Amazon, Apple, Fandango, Google Play, all that kind of stuff. Buy it, rent it, and then even if you can't watch it that night, just hit play, let it play through, and then give it a review. Although I'd love it if you could watch it, in the first week and give it that review and all that stuff, because that really that's like the only way for an indie movie to really break out, is if enough people do that early on a streamer. Amazon is usually the place people we send people to watch it on whichever platform you like the best, and get that review in there and get that stuff, and that really helps because if we can chart, which means we get listed, you've seen it, it's like, top movies of the week, that kind of thing. If we can get into that, that's when we really can get some traction and get people to see it. But that does require your assistant, and so hopefully it's worth it, and hopefully it's intriguing enough, the trailer was interesting enough, and we seem nice enough to want to support. And look at this. This is the festival poster with all the signatures. So
the stars
if you see this image, it'll be a little bit bluer now with a little bit bluer background. It has a slightly different color texture on the release version of the poster, but wanted to bring the one with all the fun signatures from the cast and crew who worked so hard on this.
So with that said, folks, we're closing our show here from the beautiful La Popular restaurant here at Hollywood at Ovation, the name of my podcast. And I want to thank also La Popular for hosting us here. Great place, great eatery, and they're here in the middle of Hollywood, right here in the epicenter of the movie capital of the world. So we leave you with that. This is Hollywood at Ovation with Jorge Amir and the film Straight On Till Morning that opens in theaters this week. Support it, and it's coming out on DVD and Blu-ray and in streaming sites on March 10th. And with that, thank you very much, Craig.
Thank you,
and
Jorge.
we've got some amazing podcast shows coming up. Subscribe, share, follow, and comment.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.